Thank you for joining the podcast for Beyond the Banter. Before we get started, you need to know some important information. If you need support immediately, please reach out to one of the following organisations. Lifeline on 131114, Beyond Blue on 1300224636, or Men's Line Australia on 1300789978. If your life is in danger, please call 000 immediately.
G'day legends, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Banter, episode 2, season 2. We're finally here, Topher. We spoke about it in our recap episode that we did of season 1 and what we want to get out of season 2, and we're here. And one of the things we mentioned in that episode last week we did was we planned on talking for 40 minutes and went for an hour and a half. So we're probably going to break this episode up into parts because it's just a lot of information. And, we've gone through, we've listened to it, and there's not a lot to cut out. So what we'll do is go through that and probably make it maybe a 3-part podcast just because of the time that goes into it. So the podcast that we're actually talking about today is quite important. It's about fatherhood, and it's one of the topics we've wanted to do since we started Beyond the Banter because it's so relevant. Because both of us are fathers, and we understand the challenges and the obstacles and the hurdles that we have to go through. But it was really cool to invite Tom and Blake along for this episode. And in this episode, I'm really looking forward to having a conversation to the guys around the journey, I guess, as let's say this side of the fence. As a male, the challenges, I guess, and what sort of role we need to play in the whole process from pre-birth all the way through to a young toddler. So can't wait to talk to the guys today to get their thoughts, go through their challenges and their obstacles and see if it aligns with what we actually think, because there's no book, right? We've spoken about this in the past. There's no book that says this is the way you have to do it. So it's a really good idea to be able to sit around and
share those stories, mate, and work out what's going on as dads. And do we act stoic when sometimes internally we're going, shit, what do I do here? Or do we think other dads are doing it so easy and we're struggling? Well, maybe not, right? I think it'll be really cool.
I think so. I'm hoping to sort of take away some key parts as well. I feel that there's parts in the way I do things at home that I've sort of identified to go, okay, well, maybe there's a better way of doing things. So I'm really looking forward to it. Can't wait to get them on. As mentioned in that last episode, we have a few segments that we're going to roll out for this year. We're going to try and keep this consistent. What are you smiling at? Consistent all the way through.
Segment?
I'm under pressure, you mate. I'm under pressure. Segment that we want to. It actually takes me back to remember when we were in Darwin and we did that test. We did a demo recording.
It is a bit like that.
And I was playing my cousin because we were going to interview him, Blake, and he'd recently gone over to New Zealand. He's got a thick Kiwi accent, and I was taking the piss a little bit. But anyway, we want to be able to bring in some segments here. We've got some cool little musical intros into these segments that we're going to play. Obviously, but one of the first ones I want to kick things off with both sport nuts. I guess we both follow our sports, so I guess we're going to recap what's happened over the last week. What's been, a standout that we've seen across any sports, I guess, around the globe. I'll throw over to you. You can kick things off.
Any sports. We're both rugby league fans. We've got to start off with the big news that rugby league's been over to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
How do you think they handled it pretty well? I was a bit nervous about a bunch of rugby league players going to Las Vegas for a game, round one. I thought, geez, there's some personalities there that could have a punt and get
Yeah.
lost in the game. But I thought they handled it pretty well.
I think it was pretty cool, man. I think they went for the right amount of time. I think that it was a good spectacle. I don't know about the TV audience and that sort of stuff. I don't know if it was quite there for the NRL, but I think they've committed to the next 5 years.
Something like that, yeah. I think each team. I heard something about each team's going to take it in turns at some point.
Yeah.
But I don't know how locked in that is.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, mate. I wanted to go this year to the game that was played, the Roosters game, but obviously with turn of events of me working and etc., I couldn't get there. But next year, if we're there, I definitely want to do it. Maybe we can do a Beyond the Banter field trip, mate.
Oh, jeez.
We'll see how we go. But obviously,
talking footy though, like actual game wise, I thought both games were pretty good. I mean,
the first game was awesome.
South didn't win, but I thought the game itself was excellent, and it burns me to say it because I'm not a big fan of that coach, but Manly played pretty good, man. That first half was it was very fast and in your face and brutal, and if Americans were going to get on rugby league, I think that first half.
Turbo just changes when he plays. He just changes the tempo of the game. He really does. Sure. He really does. I didn't think, man, I thought South were going to give him a hiding, but, all jokes aside, I think both teams played pretty well. I think it was a pretty good bloody game.
That's the thing, South lost, but they didn't play, I don't think they played poorly. Manly were just on fire.
And the state and the field's obviously different, the configuration's different. As I said, I can't wait for next year. One of the I don't know if you watch the Premier League, the English Premier League, the soccer, but the title race is really heating up. There's maybe a dozen games left, and it all comes down to for and against and this and that. So it's actually heating up over there. And I know Man City and Liverpool played a 1-1 draw this weekend just gone, and they basically won first and second on the table. I think Man City won it for the last 3 years in a row. Yeah. So it's a big chance for both teams to kick on. Obviously, the topic that I wanted to talk about and get your thoughts about it, I don't even know if you've seen this, but Mike Tyson coming out of retirement for an exhibition.
I did tell me about this, but I didn't see the article. I did hear this.
He's coming out to fight Jake Paul, I think it is, in an exhibition match, I think in Vegas. Mate, I've seen some videos of Tyson, mate. He's still got it. Oh, mate, he's still got it.
Yeah, well,
if you go on his Instagram or his Snapchat, whatever it is, mate, he's still got it. But I don't know how much integrity goes into these fights, mate. I think it's a big pay packet, and
it's all for the purse, isn't it?
What's that?
All for the purse at the end.
Yeah, and you know what? I can't blame him. He's had a really good career, and if he can make a sneaky couple of million out of stepping in the ring for half an hour, then good on him.
Yeah.
Mate, moving on to another segment for this year, and it's Make Topher Laugh. I came up with this idea because because
I never laugh at your jokes.
Well, no, you laugh at some of my jokes, but more importantly, you laugh at your own jokes. But I think I'm
funny. Not everyone else does, but I think I'm funny.
Make Topher Laugh. So this segment's going to be knock jokes, right? So if people are listening and they've got a rip and knock joke, reach out to me, let me know. Send it through. You have to send it through to my email because he will see him. So chris.a@beyondthebanter.org. So if you do have one, or if you do know me personally, text message, mate, I'm more than happy to take him. So what we're going to do with this is each week I'm going to do a knock joke, and the goal for this is to try and get you to laugh. Okay, so I'll kick it off with the first one. I think I might have you already because I hadn't heard this one before I got it, and I think it's a bit of a cracker. So we'll start off with knock.
Who's there?
Yoda lady.
Yoda lady who?
Can you stop yodeling?
I'm laughing at you, mate. I can't help but laugh when it's with you, mate. Not even a funny joke.
I just got you yodeling on a podcast. Anyway, I'm going to keep a scoreboard on how many times I actually got you to laugh. So I'm going to put that down as a big W for me this week.
Okay. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. But I was laughing at you because your face was incredible. You were laughing before you even said it.
Oh God. Okay, moving on to the next next segment is random acts of kindness. Now, what we want to do with this, we sort of touched on it back end of last year, but we really want to make it a focus for this year. And I know you've got a story, so I'll let you kick it off, and then I'll throw mine in, but then I'll explain the concept and what it is we actually want to do with it all. So I'll throw over to you.
So, mate, one of the things. No, one of the things that's, as you know, I moved midway through last year, and one of the things that's really intrigued me about where I've moved to is most communities probably haven't. We've got a community Facebook group, and how many times we've got a local Zarafas, so shout out to Zarafas organisation here in South East Queensland. But how many times I see in that community group that someone will drive through the Zarafas car drive through, and then they'll post on this community group saying, whoever was just in front of me with such and such a car, thank you, you've just paid for my drink, you've made my day. And I saw it the first time, I thought, that was really nice, but it's actually really common. It's like a thing here. So it's, I don't know, it happens probably 2 or 3 times a week where someone will pay for the car behind. It's a bit of a pay it forward. And, I don't know whether it's that car or whether it's two in front and that gets getting passed down the line, but some of the people that have posted on the community group have been, I really needed that today. I was having a bad day and you've just really helped.
That's really cool.
It's just simple, right?
It's really cool. And I think it's definitely something we could potentially do later on down the track where we do have the funding. I think it's a really cool story. I have seen a lot of it in the States. I haven't seen too much of it here, but, I know, the Powerfish, watching what he does online with his handouts and pays people bills and that sort of stuff, it's actually quite cool.
Yeah.
Random acts of kindness for me, mate of mine, and he won't, I don't think you mind me telling me the story, and shout out to Jared if you're listening, mate. But he told me a story that he noticed he was playing golf in Sydney, and he was walking the golf course, and he noticed a sports celebrity, a football player, and noticed him and looked a bit off and whatever. And Jared sort of played his golf and messaged him, said, "Hey, look, noticed you out there. Hope everything's okay. Hope you're all good and whatever." And this football actually wrote back and said, "Hey, really appreciate it. I'm all good. I've just, my mind's this and mine's that. But thank you. That was a really nice gesture and really appreciate it." And to me, that was one of the light bulb moments I had to go, hey, this could be something for the podcast. So what we want to hear from you guys. We want these stories. We want to hear these random acts of kindness, whether it happened to you, you've done it for someone. If it's happened to a family member, we want to hear about it. So get in touch with us. Contact us on the website, beyondthebanter.org. Send us an email, and we'll either reach out to you to get some details or just tell us the story in the email, and we'll actually read it out in this segment. So I really want to push that this year, and there's a lot of good people out there, and we want to hear about those good people and give them a shout out on the podcast. Mate, another segment we've got here is Song of the Week, a song that you may have heard during the week and you thought, you know what, that's a really good bloody song. I'm going to listen to that more, or I might have had a bit of a connection with you. I'll kick off first. My song of my week for me is an oldie but a goodie, but Shannon Knoll and Lift. I know it's been around for a very long time, but every time I hear that song, it's such a good empowerment. It does give you a good sense of confidence. And I do remember watching This Is Your Life, or I think they did a film a couple of years ago when they got someone to fly into the studio, and he was doing it really tough mentally, and I think he tried to take his own life, and just before he did it, this song came on and just changed his whole course and his whole direction. So for me, Song of the Week, Shannon Knoll, Lift. Over to you.
Oh, you stopped, mate. I didn't know you were
over to you.
Reading over to me.
Over to you.
Mate, we were talking about this earlier, and I was thinking about some songs, and I drive the M1 a lot these days, so I sit in the car for an hour and listen to a lot of music, and I couldn't really think of one, and one just come to me a little while ago. I'm actually a huge Pink fan, and she's just been touring, and She's just been up here on the Gold Coast, and one song that I really enjoy listening to, and it might be partly because I'm a family person, she's got a daughter in it, but Cover Me in Sunshine. Actually got some really nice lyrics in it. It's, I really enjoy listening to that one, and every now and then I'll just chuck that onto YouTube and sing it away in bed with Lincoln every now and then. So yeah,
it's a good song, man. It's a good song. I recently did some work up at Newcastle when she was playing at the stadium, and one of the warm up songs was she was singing part of that, and it was really cool. Good song, good choice, bro. Good choice. Another part of what we want to do with this is to identify a feeling that you may have had during the week that made you feel good. When we do the podcast, we talk about the bad parts about mental health, but we want to sort of throw this segment in to say, hey, this is actually what made me feel good this week. I'll kick it off if you don't mind, Topher. Yeah. For me, this week, last weekend, Parker, he played soccer last year as his first year. He was a lot smaller, a lot slower than the other kids because he's an April baby, so there's a little bit of an age thing there. And last year, he wasn't really into it. He didn't get the ball. He got the shits and all that sort of stuff. But watching him on the weekend, running around with the soccer ball and kicking around with his mates, I was just sort of taken back on how much I reckon he's improved just in that short period of time. And his team that carried him through from last year, a lot of them moved up a grade because of that age gap. They moved up to the next age. So now Parker is going to be one of the the senior boys of the team because he's been there one of the longest. So for me, I actually took a step back and just went, wow, this kid's sort of learning so quickly and so rapidly. It made me actually feel really good as well. So
nice. Mate, mine, you know mine. One of the things that recently happened, which was pretty exciting, and to get an email where people comment about you is, it gives you a big pep in what we're doing. But Beyond the Banter and myself were nominated for a community award through some of the local shopping centres here, and some of the comments in that were pretty nice. And you do sit back and go, this is what Beyond the Banter is about, and this is why we're doing it, and someone's recognised that, and hopefully it gets through to the final stages.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome that someone's taken the time out to do that. Do you know what's involved? What is it like? What's the?
Yeah, look, there's a nomination, and then I've had to provide a whole heap of information as well, and that's sort of step two, and then I think it goes to sort of a vote internally, and then I think it goes to like a public vote. And then, look, at the end of it, there's potentially a grant if we're successful as well.
Oh, yeah, sweet. Yeah. There's actually an ad-on at the moment. I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know if it's in Queensland, but in New South Wales, and actually an ad on the Westfield Local Heroes at the moment. And it talks about how, they select someone in the community and what they're doing. So that's really cool. I'll be interested to see how that progresses throughout the year.
Yep.
Mate, another part of what we want to talk about and update people, a mindfulness activity.
What? Mindfulness activity?
A mindfulness activity that you may have done this week, even if it's just taking 5 minutes to yourself. Like, what? Yeah.
Mate, I do it every day. This last week has been pretty crazy. We had a lot of deadlines at the end of this week and some big hours, especially on Thursday and Friday. And I am not very good at sitting at my work computer, and I'll find any opportunity to walk away from it, so I do procrastinate.
I've been told you're a good emailer.
Sometimes. And I just like to get away from the desk and go for a walk through the workplace and say hello to everyone, and especially getting out. We've got a resort facility, right? So get out and walk right through the resort and have a look, get in the sun, for 5-10 minutes and get away. So I do that at least once every day.
Do you, obviously I know you quite well, do you have your iced coffee? Do you take time out to go and drink that outside or anything like that, or do you have it at your desk on the go?
No, I drink my coffee on the go. It's one of the first things I do in the morning. I can't really get going until I have that. That's kind of my kickstart. Okay, now it's work mode. But yeah, usually around lunchtime, somewhere around there, I usually just go for a walk, and I should be walking through, looking at all the property and making sure everything's all right. But I don't. I look out to the golf course and look at the birds and the trees, and just defocus for a bit. And I generally find the afternoons a bit better for it.
I think it's good. That's good. I think for me, my sleep. I think going to bed at a certain time. The last couple of weeks, not so much this week in particular, but just trying to make sure that I'm getting enough sleep. Obviously, changing lifestyle on this end with my wife gone back to full-time work. I have the kids in the morning, get them ready for school, get them off to school, lunch, all that sort of stuff, get their lunches ready, breakfast, all that sort of stuff. There's been a big change. So just making sure that I'm getting enough sleep at night. And I've actually started measuring. I've got a Samsung watch, and I'm actually measuring my sleep now, just out of interest sake, to see, how many times Parker farts during the night, or, any of that sort of stuff. So, So anyway, that's mine. That I just want to get my sleeping consistent, not sleep for 6 hours, 8 hours, 5 hours, like just try and get that solid, 8 hours every night. Mate, and to finish up, what caught your eye this week?
Mate, sticking to the footy theme, what really caught my eye this week was the incident with Ezra Mam for the Brisbane Broncos. There was the accusation of a racial slur. As footy players, I think, first of all, I think it took a lot of courage to speak up. I assume that in rugby league world that, what's on the field sort of stays on the field, and if you speak up, it's kind of unusual. Yeah. So I think it was quite brave for him to do that, and probably open himself up to some degree. But in doing that, he actually had a lot of support from a lot of other players, which was nice to see. But that definitely caught my eye this week, and what the thought process would be for that player and for the other one that was accused. And then extending out beyond that, like how does the family respond to that, and the players that are around him, and that's what caught my eye this week.
Yeah, I when it all started unfolding, I was on messages to friends and whatever, and I was like, no, it didn't happen, can't happen. Not in this day and age. That just can't happen. He didn't say it. There's no way he said it. But, it's not picked up here. People didn't hear it, blah, blah, blah. I was like, no way. And then when he came out and he said he actually did it, I was like, wow. I didn't know what to say, to be honest. And yes, he's a Roosters player. Yes, I'm a Roosters fan, But, mate, I just think that such a silly comment, regardless of how big or small it is, the effects that has on the player that got called it and the player that actually said it, that it have to be playing on their mental health, both of them, and their family's mental health, because obviously they might have brothers and sisters and they might be going to school, or they might be uni or whatever. They're going to be sort of singled out, right? And it's never going to go away. He said it. There's no way he can erase it. And I just scratch my head and think how in this day and age, how it can actually happen. I just don't understand how it can actually happen.
Yeah, I'm the same. I mean, you've played footy and I've played footy, but there's a few words here and there, but you don't cross a line. And I don't understand why it got to that point and why it was necessary. But as I said, Ezra's come out and he's said he was quite upset by it. His mates have got around him, which has been good to see, and the support from the club, and from a number of clubs, not just his. I think it took a long time to resolve from the NRL. I think they needed to probably tackle it a bit quicker. I don't even know if they've announced any penalties.
8 weeks, yeah.
So it's taken a while, and I think they really needed to resolve that quicker and get that underway. And but then I hope there's some ongoing support for both.
Has to be, right?
Okay, so one of them's been suspended, you said. So when he comes back, I assume there's going to be some fans throwing some comments out there. So it's going to be tough for him to return, I think, publicly, and hopefully he gets the support from the club. Ezra hopefully just gets back into playing footy now and moves behind it. He's got plenty of support out there, but as you said, it shouldn't happen in this day and age. I mean, there's commentary and there's sledging, but you can't cross that line. One thing, certainly not with intent.
One thing that I won't buy and won't accept is the fact that he didn't think that it was a racial comment. I don't buy that for 1 second. These guys at a club level get training on all sorts of stuff, social issues, racism specifically. So I just don't buy that. Sorry, it's just something I can't believe. Moving on, the last segment before we get the guys in and have a chat is mental health myth. So I'm going to throw a question at you, and you're going to tell me whether you think it's a fact or a myth. And then I have an explanation here that I'll read off a piece of paper. So if I'm looking away from the camera reading, it is because I'm reading line for line. I'll read that out, and then we can just throw some commentary around that. So I'll kick it off with people can't work if they have a mental health problem. Myth or fact?
Myth.
Yeah, I would have said myth. I'm reading it here, but I'm reading it myth because I'm one of them.
I was going to say exactly the same.
Yeah, I'm one of them. So I can work. I can go to work. But the actual line here, and I'll read it out, is, it's a myth. 1 in 4 people affected by mental health problems, you probably work with someone with a mental health problem every day. You're probably sitting next to them. Yes, when I hit rock bottom, I do take a bit of time off. I do try and get grounded and be in the best frame of mind to get back into work, but I can definitely work. I think in regards to this point, I think there's different levels and severities of mental health conditions, and obviously if you do suffer from one of those big ones that you are crippled no matter what you try, whether it's medication, natural, whatever, that there would be considerations there. But for your everyday person, I think,
I think there's still a place though, and ultimately I think people want to feel connected and feel part of something and feel valuable, right? And if that's excluded, it's only going to further impact their mental health state. So it's important to bring them in and see what their skills are, and you'll find some of these people are very skilled, and work with them.
Let's get the guys in for a chat and see how the podcast rolls out. Is there any final words from yourself?
No, mate, I'm keen to go and get chatting to Tom and Blake. I know these blokes, and I can't wait to get in and chat to them.
Beautiful. All right, well, we'll get on with the podcast, and we'll see how it goes. And again, any support you can show us, we do appreciate it. I said this to Topher the other day, we haven't even started yet. Amongst everything that's going on, we haven't even started. So any support would be greatly appreciated, and we'll get the boys in for a chat. So thanks, guys, and we'll catch up with you next episode. Topher, mate, what an exciting part of the podcast where we get to talk about a few of our sponsors that have joined us for this year. Before we get into it, mate, I want to throw over to you and talk about feel-good moments, obviously fitting with the vibe of the podcast, and what takes us back to those special moments. From as a kid, what was it for you? What took you back? Like even now, you might see something, you might smell something, and go, oh yeah, that takes me right back. Where does it take you?
Mate, funny you bring this up, bro. We went to a lolly shop the other day up here, and as I was walking through, it had all these really cool lollies in there. And the one thing that I couldn't take my eyes off the whole time was Whiz Fizz.
Oh, yeah.
I remember growing up as a kid and with my cousins, and we'd be at Shell Harbour Caravan Park, or even at home and with the grandparents. And Nan used to always bring out these whiz fizzes for us if we'd been good, I guess. And I remember it had the little stick in it.
Was it the stick that you ate, or was it the liquor?
No, it was you and then you'd dip it in the sherbet.
Yeah.
Pull it out, and then you would sort of lick it and then eat the sherbet, and then when you finish, eat the stick.
Yeah.
I always remember that, and I remember always looking really forward to having those, especially with my cousins, because we used to throw sherbet at each other as well. But, it was always good fun. I remember that.
Mate, lollies have a funny way of connecting you back to your childhood, and going back to what we were saying before about our sponsor. We're so happy to announce that we've got gettingsugarwith.com.au jump on for this year, and it's awesome because it takes us back to a happy place. For me, growing up as a kid, I used to love lifesavers, the hard lifesavers, the multicoloured lifesavers. I used to love them. Also used to like all the mega warheads and sour warheads. Push pops, ring pops, all that sort of stuff.
Definitely remember them through school.
Yeah, they were everywhere. And with gettingsugarwith.com.au coming on board, mate, I don't know if you've jumped on their website, but they've got the works. So if you're looking for any of those early 90s lollies that you might remember as a kid, even there's a few current ones there, head over to the website, www.gettingsugarwithit.com.au. Go over and check those guys out. And, as a gesture for our podcast listeners, the team over at Getting Sugar With It have announced they'll give us a discount for our podcast listeners so far. So 15% off. All you have to do is put Beyond the Banter in the checkout code and you'll get 15% off your total order. Australia-wide, ships out. Guys, seriously, get on there and have a look. Look, guys, www.gettingsugarwith.com.au. Get over there and have a look. You won't be disappointed. There's a lot to choose from.
Mate, I've just jumped in and put some stuff in the cart. I've got Nerds in there and Toffee Apple, and
nice.
I've chucked a few Whiz Fizz.
Yeah, nice. Don't forget the discount code, Beyond the Banter.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Hey guys, as we mentioned before, we now have a second sponsor that's come on for Beyond the Banter for 2024. One of our supporters from TikTok land, Etched from the Heart, have come on board for this year, and they'll be doing some customised corporate gifts for people, for us to be able to give out and sell online. Toph, I don't know if you're familiar with this stuff, but going through corporate events and going and collecting merchandise at conferences, you always see these personalised gifts. And when I was talking to Dingo or Luke from Etched from the Heart, he was mentioning that he actually does it, and we got chatting, and here we are talking about a sponsorship for this year and him doing some stuff. So I don't know if you've seen the website yourself in terms of what they do, but it's some pretty cool stuff that they can do for us. So
look, obviously anyone out there in corporate world, you're always looking to be a bit different and make sure you have something a bit customised for your clients. And it's great that we've got someone coming on board to support us with that and help us with our merchandise and products. And certainly want to give a shout out to him and his team, and make sure that anyone that's looking at stubby coolers or key rings and stuff, they can do everything.
Guys, to reach out to the team at Etched from the Heart, it's etchedfromtheheart.store. Just jump onto that website and have a look. Let them know that you're a listener of Beyond the Banter, and Luke and the team there will look after you in terms of what your needs are. There's some really cool stuff he's got on his website as well. So jump on, have a look, and let him know that you're one of our listeners, and he'll look after you. G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Banter. This will be episode 2 in season 2. We talked about the last episode about what we want to get out of this season, and Topher had this great idea in the off season to bring this topic to light to kick the first proper episode off. Today we're going to be talking about parenthood, being a dad, the challenges, the obstacles, the pressures, I guess, and I guess how we want to steer our kids around and try and maybe change some of the previous generation behaviours onto our own kids and try and redevelop and rescope the way we sort of live our lives. So it's quite a good topic that Topher thought of, and we want to bring more stuff to light like this. And today, obviously, we're joined, Topher. Obviously been a journey for him. Everyone's got their own tales, but we'll go into that as we sort of progress with the episode. We got Tom. Welcome, Tom. This is Tom's first podcast with Beyond the Banter, so welcome, mate. We hope that you get a bit out of this yourself, and we get you on for future topics and future podcasts. And returning guest is Blake. Welcome back, mate. Good to see you. Again, you've got your own little stories and around your kids and the path that I guess life has taken yourself. So I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward to seeing my behaviours currently that I teach my kids to see if they align with what you guys are doing, because I'm quite interested to see. And I'm not going to tell any fibs or anything like that. I'm going to say what my weaknesses are, and I'm going to say what I do, and where I look at it and go, I could probably do a little bit better there. And one of the first things I'll use as an example is Ava is in year 2 this year, and her homework stepped up a little bit. And last year, I don't know what it was, but it just stressed me out because she couldn't understand it and this and that. And I'd go, 0 to 100, you know how to do this and this and that. Anyway, this year it's gone a little bit harder, and I've sort of sat down and just gone, you know what, this is going to take as long as it needs to take, and I've just let her go through the whole thing. And we did it all last week, and she's just killing it. She's just doing all this stuff, and yeah, it's worked out really well. So they're the sorts of things that we want to sort of talk about today to try and help the guy next door. We, Tom and Blake, we talk about this podcast being like a pay it forward situation. So the idea of us doing this is so that the guy next door, guy down the street, or the guy that you see at the supermarket or whatever might hear it and go, hey, I go through this. This is good. I can use some of this advice. And that's what this whole, podcast is all about. So thank you again, gents, for joining us. We really appreciate it. And as I said, we look forward to having you guys back in future podcasts. It's 4 average guys sitting around having a chat about fatherhood, and we need more of it. And yeah, it's a feather in the cap to Beyond the Banter to be able to do this and get it out, get the messaging out. So we'll kick it off.
Mate, could I just start though?
Yes.
I just ask you, you're doing year 2 homework. Are you learning it along the way as well, mate? Because it's changed. I'm learning that from Lincoln. It's changed.
Timetable. Tell me.
My son knows his timetables better than I do, and he's in grade 4.
Mate, sequences, no idea.
I got Lincoln's first homework book, and the instructions in the beginning, I had to go and ask the teacher what the instructions meant.
Mate, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I had that the other day. He goes, how do I do this? And I said, mate, I got nothing.
Google
I said, just go back to school. Teacher, tell me how it happens.
Ask Google.
Yeah, ask Google.
Yeah.
I'll throw over to you first, obviously, Topher, and then, get your thoughts and your comments. And I was saying to the guys before we started that we sort of want to do this in a way that it's pre-dad, becoming a dad and supporting your partner going through that period of childbirth and becoming a dad, watching him grow to where we are now. So it's sort of like a little milestone sort of step. So Topher, I'll throw to you first. Let's talk about a younger Topher. Any kids? Did you think you were going to be a dad? Did you have that vision that, that's what you want to do and how you're going to be able to do it in the future?
Yeah, I did, mate. I always thought I would be. I always wanted to be. I sort of always thought late 20s was probably a good age. That got away from me, and it was a bit later. But it was always on the path. I kind of always thought there would be an accident. That I managed to survive that. But as far as I know, and mate, it's just always been on the plan. And even with Caden, with everything that happened with that, and he passed away, I still knew after that I wanted more. So it was always, I don't know, it was just always something I wanted to be. I thought I could thought I could do it. I thought, especially after Caden, I thought I could contribute. I learnt more and I appreciated more from it, and I just wanted to be able to do it. So it was always part of the plan.
Blake, over to you, mate. Pre-kid years.
Yeah, I always wanted kids. I think that was, pretty much the same as Toph. I always had an idea that one day I'd like to have kids. I grew up with an older brother and a younger sister. So I always had that sort of desire to have kids. 3 kids later, 3 boys. I'm feeling my age, and I'm feeling tired constantly. But it's great. We'll probably have one more, I'd say.
Yes. Wow, awesome. Tom?
Adds chaos.
Oh, mate, we'll jump into that a little bit later. I've got 2, mate. I couldn't even think of an extra one, but we'll jump into that a bit later. Tom, over to you, mate.
Yeah, look, I always wanted to be a dad. I think you sort of, you have a lot of memories from childhood, and you, certain families and those memories. You go, oh, that'd be really cool. My ex now, we were together for a long time, and we ended up having kids after a while. But I loved every minute of it. Obviously, there's been a journey, but always wanted to be a dad. Yeah, it was a pretty easy decision.
Yeah, awesome. I'll go in a separate direction. Me growing up, I never actually thought I was going to be a dad. I was a late dad, so I was 30. How old am I? This is going to put me on the spot a bit. So I was 36. So I was a late dad. I never thought I'd be a father. I don't know what it was. I don't know. I travelled a bit earlier on and came back and sort of had a little bit of a sort of party lifestyle, and I just never thought that I'd be a dad. And me not thinking about being a dad, I didn't even try and begin, even at 36, to begin what it would be like to be a dad. I knew that obviously growing up, if I'd like to change certain paths and directions and stuff like that if it did ever happen. But honestly, I never thought that I was going to, there's no way I thought I was going to be a dad. And now I'm a father of 2, and I've got girl, boy, and, I absolutely love it. And I couldn't think of what my life would be like without him. So it definitely is something that, I think younger people wanting to be parents and fathers and whatever, that, I think you need to have a good understanding of what those pressures are like. And hopefully this podcast can sort of share some of those pressures as we go. Topher, we'll throw over to you first. And again, if you're uncomfortable or whatever, let's talk about the pre-birth situation, what it was like supporting you, not for you.
Pre-birth, you mean pregnancy?
That gives you memory, mate.
Well, pregnancy. So let's talk pregnancy, the pressures there. What, more importantly, and I know that, your memory's going as you get a little bit older, but what did you feel like you needed to be the man? Did you feel like you needed to do everything? Did you need to be that support person? Did you want to be that support person? What, that sort of process?
I was pretty naive through the first one. I just kind of, trusted everything I was being told from the doctors, and sort of just, I don't know. I don't know if I tried to do everything. Women are pretty strong in that environment. They know what they need, and I don't know for everyone, but I was always told when I needed to do something.
Did you know what nesting was? Did you guys know what nesting was before?
Yeah. You learn about it in your prenatal classes, right? So you hear all these stories, but you don't actually know what it means until it kicks in.
I had no idea.
Yeah, no, it was. I don't know. It was pretty easy. We had a couple of little hiccups along the way for doctor's visits and stuff like that. So there was a few nerves at certain points, but we were always told everything was all right. So, as I said, I was just naive through the entire process. I was just naive. I had no idea.
Did you guys know what an omni hook was?
Is that the big hook that breaks the water?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I did not.
Mate,
That
I'm
was
just learning
intense.
that now then.
Oh, mate.
I won't
Tom,
lie.
you're well educated, mate.
I nearly fainted in the birthing suite. I'll give you that much.
Yeah.
The nurse grabbed me at one point and said, "You need to sit down." And I said, "No, I'm all right." She's like, "No, you need to sit down." I'm glad she did.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, the Omni Hook, for people that don't know, give it a little Google. Blake, over to yourself, mate.
Yeah, look, I think all three of my kids, my first two are from my marriage. My youngest now, he's just short of 10 months. The third time it was a completely different experience. A lot more relaxed from my end, able to be more present in the moment and trust the process. And Semi was amazing through it. She, hats off to, the pain threshold that she has. That's obviously, delivery wise. But we had a few sort of complications throughout the pregnancy. Semi was really sore with various pains, aches and pains. It wasn't ever a relaxing period for us because we actually had a couple of miscarriages beforehand, before we got our youngest. So at no point was it, we're going for a scan. It wasn't a relaxing experience like it was for the first two, because I hadn't experienced that before. And it's the worst thing to go through. TOEF, obviously, with Caden, that's probably the worst. But, it's a really helpless feeling. Going to those scans, there's that excitement, but there's also that concern and that worry that something's not going to be right. So, it's a roller coaster ride, but all at the end, it all came good. So yeah,
mate, I agree with you with that. I didn't highlight that before, but obviously with Caden, with Lincoln following that, and then Oliver, I probably didn't enjoy the pregnancy as much with Lincoln and experience it because I had just had nerves at every scan.
That what if in the back of your head.
And, to be honest, I wasn't comfortable with Lincoln until I was about 2 months old because Caden passed away just before 2 months. So in my head, I was always, right up until 2 months, I was like, anything could happen. And it wasn't until that 2 month dead mark moved that I started to actually really enjoy being that because I started to get a bit more comfortable. But at that point, it was like 50-50 for me, right? So when Oliver came along, it was a lot more enjoyable. Less stress because, obviously what we've been through with Lincoln. But with Lincoln, I know Victoria went into labour, she was induced, and there was a few, she'd been in all day and it was getting a bit tiring and she was starting to get a bit stressed and it started to turn into a bit of an emergency situation. And the doctors wanted her to keep persisting and Victoria kept saying to me, I don't want him. Like, I want it out, right? I want him out. And the nurse turned to me and I said to them, she wants it out, get him out. And they kind of looked at me like I was a DV dad. Like they started to get, they're like, this is her decision. And they started to do that on me. And I'm like, hold on. Like, what are you talking about? She's told you 4 times.
Pretty intense, isn't it?
But then they said, why are you so adamant about this? So I actually told them the story and then they went, oh, okay, makes sense. And then I said to the doctor, I said, this is not fair. You're making me talk about my past and in front of her, just to justify because you weren't listening. It was actually turned into quite an emergency. And then he was out in like an hour. So the second time with Oliver, Victoria was like, man, I don't even want to go through that. We're just doing cesarean straight away. I know we'll go to the hospital. He's out. That's all happened. So, it was the same with Caden too. That was a long labour and then it ended up in emergency as well. So you can imagine when Lincoln started to turn to emergency, I was freaking.
Yeah,
that's hectic. I remember with my youngest, when she was born, it was pretty quick. It was about an hour from sort of first contraction to being born. But when she came out, there was no sort of breath or anything, and that it was probably realistically 30 seconds. But that is, it feels like 20 minutes, and you're sort of looking at the nurse, and the nurse you can tell is a little bit bloody stressed, and that first scream, you go, okay, we're good here, but tell you what, that's a long few seconds.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, because you're still a bit naive to it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You're
Absolutely.
like, it's going to be all right? Like,
and you're helpless, really. At the end of the day, you're sort of standing there and you're there with the nurse and you're going, hang on, what's going on here?
At the end of the day, right through the pregnancy, labour, and birth, we're pretty much spectators of the sport, right? We don't do much.
Water boy.
Yeah.
Can give a glass of water with a straw. I nailed that.
3 nights alone by myself. No, I'm joking. Only joking. I did want to get into something, but first I just want to ask you guys, because it's really, I think this is really important tips for dads out there. Did you guys do birthing classes?
I did. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I did for my oldest.
I had no idea, and yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was interesting. It was my way of participating too, because I felt, you know, you sort of feel a bit helpless, and it was sort of me to sort of as a support role as well. But yeah, I was curious as well, I guess.
Yeah, I did too. I did it
help
twice.
when push come to shove. You forget everything, and you go, "Hang on, what do we do again?"
I don't know. On the hook, I picked that up from that bloody. Toth?
Yeah, I did it twice.
Yeah.
Once with Caden, once with Lincoln.
Yeah, I did it. I did it with Ava, the first one, and yeah, I just picked up so much knowledge about the human body I didn't even know about, and I don't even know. I don't know if it's mandatory, but I would suggest every dad going through it for the first time, dad and mum, to do it. 100% do it, because you pick up so much information, even just the choking. You know, if you've got a newborn in the choking process there, and how you have to sort of do all that sort of stuff. I think it's really important that, especially new dads out there, they do go for that process. And again, it's like, oh, I'm the man, it's okay, you know, and this and that. I think there's still a little bit about that.
Even now, like, you know, first aid courses, I'm lucky enough to do them through work, but I reckon they're so valuable. You just, even basic things, you know, I've had split chins and bruised heads and all sorts, and they come in handy. You never want to use it, but
mate, where we all used to work, we dealt with a couple of incidents from time to time.